All right, this is going to be the most ridiculous start to this podcast in the multiple year run. I don't know how many years has this been, Serda? Two? Is this our second season? Or is it our third?
This is our third
It's
season.
our third season. I'm sorry, it's a lot of coffee today. Bad coffee. This is our third season, and this fool Brandon Kiley has come out with a full stash, and I'm guessing this is in some way meaning for Travis Kelce, who we thought we lost. And the two jump to conclusion, fellas, we've got right here. I believe in my text chain when he went down from YouTube, somebody gave me an Achilles. I think maybe both of you thought it was an Achilles.
I never said Achilles.
Did you
That was
not
me.
say
That
Achilles?
was me.
I
I
know
thought it was over.
I know BK jumps to conclusions, and Serda maybe he beat you to the punch, and you went ahead and erased it.
I got mad at people saying that because I was like, let's calm down, let's wait. He walked off the field. We don't got to do that. We don't got to assume the season's over every time he gets hurt.
Yeah. But BK has a full out stash. I don't even. It's just what are you doing? Why
I
are
think
you?
it looks good. I think he
Thank
really
you.
pulls it
Thank
off.
No,
Thank
it
you.
doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't look good. It's not your best. It's not your best.
So I don't feel like we've done our part here on the show, Ron. I think that there's been a lot of criticism of Travis Kelce, whether it's coming his way from Aaron Rodgers, which that guy just needs to shut his mouth. Enough of him. He's trying so hard to latch on to Travis Kelce's fame that he's recently come into.
He's so jealous that Travis is in the Allstate commercials now.
Oh, for sure. And he wants
that's
a
not
piece
the
of
person. That's not the person who Danica dated.
He's become somebody new.
He's somebody else.
So he's trying to pull from Kelce. And you got all these people out there that are trying to say, oh, Kelce's not the same dude. Chiefs aren't the same. We need to support this man. And we need to put our full-throated support behind Travis Kelce. And my way to do that, Ron, is by going with my full El Travador. This is the only way that I know how. I no longer live in Kansas City, but I can get myself a nice-looking stash. Nice might be a little strong there. A stash nonetheless. And this is the way that I'm going to put my full-blown support behind one Travis Kelce. Somebody's got to do it, man. Somebody's got to step up and support the man that's getting crushed left and right. I don't need this in my life.
Yeah, there are many ways to support him. You can support him right here on this great podcast. Hell, you can go on your own personal platforms and support him. You can go buy a shirt. You can go buy a Taylor Swift album. You can go do whatever.
Watch her documentary. It's coming out soon.
You don't have to. It is. You don't have to go and get this thick ass stash you have. I mean, you look like an '80s player for the San Francisco Giants. Maybe the Mets. Maybe coming out of the Mets bullpen.
People who have been with us for a long time might remember one time when Ron the Show Hughley and Josh Vernier decided to get mustaches and take a very creepy picture at 610 Sports Radio.
I've got it right now.
And they looked terrible. I think BK's mustache looks all right. I think he really
first off, he is not looking better than mine. So let's just start. First off, he doesn't even have it cleaned enough. You got to clean shave that sucker.
Oh, no, I can't do that, man. I'm not going full baby.
No, well, don't do it.
I'm willing to support Travis Kelce to a point, man.
No, okay. Well, if you're going to go that far with it, do it. Come on, Magnum PI. Do it. This is ridiculous. No, listen.
I did kind of feel like I should be like pulling somebody over for going 5 over the moment that it
I'm not joining. I'm not joining you in this. The last time I did this, as Serda just spoke of, my wife told me I'm not going to kiss you. She didn't for the whole time. She didn't. I remember shaving on Sunday Sound Off when that happened, right on TV on 41, just shaving on the air as a real bit with the stash thing. Listen, man, you support him. I support him. All right, you want to know how much I support him? I support him so much that I don't think he should play on Thursday, tomorrow, whatever day it is. The game is Thursday. I don't think he should play. And he's questionable? Is that the last we've heard,
Yeah.
Serda, that he's questionable?
Yeah, but according to a report this evening from Jordan Schultz, he's expected to play.
Yeah, and listen, he came back and he was a warrior, and played in that second half. Although, like a little kid, he was trying to sneak on the field multiple times, and then like no one sees his big ass out there running out there. But I just look, for me, it's a short week. You're gonna have 10 days of extra rest on top of what happened from Sunday, and realistically, in my opinion, you don't need Travis Kelce to beat these Denver Broncos. Side note, real quick, I don't know what you were doing. The Denver Broncos. The last time they beat the Chiefs, I was less than 6 months into starting my radio career. I had a 6-month-old child. Now I have 3 kids. None of them wear diapers. All of them sleep in a normal bed, and I live in a completely different city. So that is the last time, and I've lived in this city nearly 4 years. That is the last time we have had this show. What did you say? This is our 3rd season.
Mm-hmm.
I've been fired. BK's quit. He's left. We've done everything. Serda's quit. Serda's done. Serda's
Think
produced.
about the lineup on 610 Sports in 2015. Like, I don't even know was Nick still there at that point?
No, I got it. It was Fesco in the morning. And hell, I don't even think Mike was there yet. It was just Fesco in the morning. I don't think Mike had flown in yet. It was the day shift.
Lake and Bink.
Bink. Ryan Wilkowski was the producer, and then
was Danny still there?
Danny that would have been the 2015 Royals run. So Danny and C-Dot had just gotten onto afternoons. Yes. They had just got the afternoons.
Danny Park has had 9 co-hosts since the last time. Shout out to Maria Taylor.
And the Midday Show has had 12 different co-hosts.
Yes. So I mean, it's like that's the last time they've beat him. I don't think they need to beat this version of the Denver Broncos without him. But I will say I am a little BK-ish here because I know BK, and this was ridiculous, and he knows it. In week 1, I don't want to see him play. I kind of want to see how Mahomes has to deal with playing without Travis Kelce. Well, okay, that didn't look great. It's not from that standpoint. First and foremost, I want him to get as healed as possible and have these extra days off. And I believe that they can beat them without him. But even more for me, I also want to see these young receivers have to come to the forefront again. I thought they took a step when he got injured and that time frame he was out, and even while he was in, I think guys like Rashee Rice took a step. Justyn Ross took a step. Watson took a step with a big catch in the opening drive in the 3rd quarter. I was impressed by what I saw, and I'm eager to see them take another step. And I think this would be a nice time without him on the field to take another step. So I'm against him playing for many reasons, but one of the last ones is I want to see this young group.
First of all, to continue on your point of how long it's been since the Chiefs have lost to the Broncos, that was a Josh Mauga led Chiefs defense. Marcus Peters was a rookie in that season, and the offensive line included Ben Grubbs and Ja Reed. So that was the last time that this took place. By the way, Peyton Manning was the quarterback on the opposing team, for what it's worth. All right, so as for Travis Kelce playing on Thursday, Ron, I think a lot of this is legacy with Kelce at this point in time. I mean, we know where he's at in his career. He's not going to be playing for another decade, And thus far in his career, other than his rookie year, where he missed the entirety of it, he's basically not missed a single game due to injury. And he missed one earlier this season in week 1. I think that was something that he hated. Like, more than anything in the world, he did not want to miss that game. And so if he has, a real chance to play, I think he's going to go out there and do it. And I don't blame him for it. Now, here's where I will agree with you to a degree, Ron. I think you limit his snaps in this one. 3rd downs, get him out there. Sure, no problem. Get him out there for those gotta have it downs. Red zone, go ahead and get him out there. Those key situations where he and Patrick Mahomes have the chemistry, have the ability to make those off off script throws, that's when you go ahead and get him out on the field. But your typical 1st and 10s, 2nd and 7s, like if you need Travis Kelce in this game to win it, then something's gone horribly awry.
Yeah, I just Serda. I don't think you need him, and I get that because you do want to have some moments where these young guys, because realistically, these young guys are going to play potentially with him out there, and you want to see how they look and what they're able to do off of him. But for me, that is the big thing to me is I want to see these young guys continue to take steps forward, and I think Kelce not being out there forces that even more.
Yeah, and let's say he doesn't go, and obviously it seems like he is going to go.
He's gonna force his hand.
I agree with BK that I don't think that they need him to go this week, and I agree with you, Ron, that I don't think they need him to go this week to win this football game. And I do think if you're going to try to see what you got in these other pass catchers and force them to step up and make plays and kind of put them in those big situations that Travis is normally in, perfect opportunity to do that in this game. And you can also do that without having to throw the ball a ton and having to lean on Patrick Mahomes in this game because that's how bad the Denver Broncos are. But it's for him at this point, it just feels like it's so important to him to be on the football field. And Patrick Mahomes talked this week about how after their loss week 1, like Kelce was just livid that he wasn't on the field and wasn't available to try to help them win because it was such a close game. And, and it felt like the Chiefs had that game if they just can make a couple of more plays, and they couldn't make those plays without Travis Kelce out there. And so it feels like some of that is him just pushing himself too hard. And now, he comes back from one injury. Now he's got another injury. He's 34 years old. Maybe he is starting to slow down. Maybe things are catching up to him. And it's like he wants to be the guy that he's always been. But I think this is where the Chiefs have to intervene a little bit and say, hey, it's okay if you don't practice every day. It's okay to get you some veteran rest days because you're too important to the offense. You're too important to the team. And just like that game last week, I think they win that game without Travis Kelce back on the field. Even though he comes back in, he scores a touchdown. Obviously, he was instrumental to them winning. But you mentioned him trying to sneak out onto the field and try to put himself in when the Chiefs weren't ready to put him back in, when they hadn't cleared him to go back into the game. And it's like, you don't need him to be that guy anymore. He's got to be worried about taking care of himself for the long haul, because just like the Chiefs as an organization plan for the playoffs, and right now it's just stay healthy, win games, stay afloat, get to the postseason, go win rings. Like, that's what they need to convince Travis Kelce of. Like, we understand that you got this Iron Man streak and that you never miss football games, but you're not at that stage of your career anymore, and we don't need you against the Denver Broncos in week 6 of the NFL season.
Yeah. Well, your Cal Ripken is over. All right. You've already missed the first game of the season, so it's over. And there's a big one next week against the Chargers, right? You win this game, you win next week, you can put away the AFC West damn near. And I think that is the bigger deal. And you're moving past. And for me, like you said, in a limited fashion, like if we're going to start talking about a limited fashion, just sit him down. Like you're going to start talking about third downs, just sit him down and let him get this long stretch of rest to get to this team. So that's I think for a lot of reasons it makes sense. I don't think they're going to do it. I think he's going to play. You said something, Serda? I just said you kind of glossed past it a little bit. I've been thinking this. Yeah. You think?
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
Now I have to. Okay. You think it's just? Do you think it's just the injuries?
Oh, don't say that out loud.
Do you like? Do you think it? Do you think it's just like the injuries, or did we just see him literally just from the Super Bowl last year against the Eagles run routes where he ran away from a safety and a linebacker to catch a corner route against the Eagles with ease, where he could separate just last year and just in the Super Bowl in February? Is it just the injuries? Because if it is, I'll believe it and say, okay, he's had a hyperextended knee that he's not right with, and now he's got an ankle. Is it just the injuries, or is Travis not the same cat that he was? I'm just because I wondered that, because this show is a hell of a lot
Well,
of 5-yard catches and
well,
nothing that much down the field.
so I'm willing to lean it's more injuries, but also that he probably is slowing down slightly. Like, he's 34 years old. That's what happens at this age. We see players like we see that happen to guys in the NFL all the time, and we see it happen to guys that are younger than him. So he's been doing it for a long time at the absolute top of the league. And so it would stand to reason that maybe he is slowing down a little bit. And I agree. It's a lot of this season. It's been a lot of short passes. Like, he caught 10 passes against the Vikings somehow, even after missing time, and had like 60 yards. Like,
Has he even come close to
normally
100? I don't think he's even come close to touching 100.
I think I don't think he's
Been like
come
60 to 70 almost every week. So
yeah,
far.
yeah. I think that's kind of what it's been. And it's like, in years past, Travis Kelce catches 10 passes, he's got like 130 yards. Like you expect him to break some tackles and take off and make some of those big plays down the field. But it does seem like maybe that's not happening. Maybe he's not breaking away as quick as he used to. But I mean, he also suffered a knee injury at the very start of the NFL
Yeah,
season.
I'll listen to it. Yeah, I'll listen to that.
So I'm willing to lean a little bit more on the knee injury while admitting that he probably likely is slowing down just a little bit.
I just know BK on the particular play he was injured. Like, I'm thinking that's like a 10, 12-yard play with the possibility of more, because he's so quick and can get to his spots. And I watched it and I thought, he'll just get this first down, man. Just get across this first down. Like the movie was, whatever he was about to do was not at the level of what we've seen Travis Kelce do.
The ankle injury play was I can't be doing this anymore kind of play.
So he actually said that on his podcast this week. I don't know if you guys have listened yet, but Kelce himself admitted, like, hey, I could make that move 5 years ago. I got to have my feet more firmly planted underneath me at this point, at this stage in my career. And I think it's, Chiefs fans, I want you to know this, because I am the guy that is fully supporting Travis Kelce. I think he needs stuff like this right now at this point in his career. This is not me bashing Kelce. I think he's going to go down as the greatest tight end to ever play the sport. I think he's the toughest dude that we have seen play that position in a Chiefs uniform ever. Like, part of what makes him special is his toughness. And the other piece of what makes him special is that he is uniquely gifted in a way that you just don't see at that position or any position.
Yeah, it's not seeing it.
All of that is the backdrop. I don't think he looks the same this year, and I don't think it's all the injuries.
Yeah, it's got to be a part of it, but
sure,
yeah, you're right,
I think he looks a step slower. And I think it's okay to admit that, because we should expect the surprise is not that he's a step slower. The surprise is that it took until he was 34 years old to become a step slower. I mean, think about what we saw in Rob Gronkowski's career, man. He was a shell of himself by the time that he got late into Tom Brady's career, right? And that was, 8 years in to what we saw from Gronk. So it's not surprising that this is happening. It's just a matter of, like, the Chiefs weren't prepared for it because they didn't have the other stuff built up around Kelce to make up for the fact that he was probably going to have to be a smaller piece of the offense than what he had been in previous years. I don't think he runs quite as well. You're seeing that with his average depth of target. Stuff is closer to the line of scrimmage. You're seeing that with the lack of broken tackles. He's not really breaking them this year. You're seeing that with the lack of yards after catch. It's the lowest yards after catch of any year of his career so far on average. It's stuff that we have not seen from him in the past. His average depth of target is half what it was 3 years ago right now. He's averaging like 5 yards per attempt through the air. Everything's close to the line of scrimmage, and he's just kind of standing there, and then he's getting you your first downs. And there's huge value in that. But it's a different type of player than what we've been accustomed to.
Yeah, the closest thing I saw was that third down play in the red zone where, Pat improvised and then caught him coming across, and then he was running and darting in. Like, this is after the ankle injury. That's the closest thing I've seen towards, he's making his run after the catch from that position was so different and special. That's the closest thing. And just down the field stuff. Like, I have a hard time in my head right now thinking of a a catch he's made 15 yards down the field this year. You know what I mean? Like just like 15 yards down the field, 10 yards down the field. I'm having a hard time remembering those. So that's just maybe it's the knee. I will accept that. I know it's got to be in somebody's minds, in people's minds with that. All right, we do this every week when the Chiefs have the ball. I'm gonna tell you this right now, and I've got 3 kids. I try to believe I'm a patient man. I've worked with at-risk youth. I've been spit on by 8-year-olds. I've been spit on by 16-year-olds. I've had chairs thrown at me. I've had telephones, the old ones,
My God,
yanked at me. I've been told that I've been wished to die by young kids and people on the text line.
All right, man.
In multiple states.
Kelce did have a 24-yard reception against the Bears.
I don't remember it. But I call myself a patient person. I'm patient right there. There was no reason for Serda to go through and hunt that down.
I was just curious.
But he did. And he could have kept it to himself. So many things. But I'm a patient person.
I appreciate your hard work, sir.
I'm at a crossroads of patience with Sky Moore. Like, I need to see something this week. Like, I'm going to give the kid – I know there are some people who have completely lost their patience and they're out. Sky Moore – there have been people on this show who have been huge supporters. I mean, you may have a stash on for Kelce, but your words and your belief go stronger in the support of Sky Moore from some people on this show.
Win.
I'm still here, but I'm at a crossroads. This is it. I need to see something. All right. You've virtually had 3 of the 5 games this season where you haven't done anything. And the only thing you did in this game was a quick screen that didn't have a shot in hell and doing anything. And then at the end of the half, they're backing off. Let me throw it to Sky for a few yards because nobody is around him. You haven't done anything. And there are guys behind you who are starting to show things. And you got to, like, I'm about, this is it. This is a terrible defense. All right. They're probably not going to put Patrick Surtain on you, or at least the Chiefs can do things to avoid it. You got to be able to do something. This should look something like the Jacksonville game when you trick people, when you trick the hearts of others, when others who believed in you so much acted like they went ahead and forgot the rest of everything you did in your career, but you got 70 yards against the Jags and they believed again to come back for you to do nothing since then. I'm at a crossroads, and I'm to a point where if he comes out and gives us what he has done for the bulk of his career, and there is nothing more, I'm to 40 yards. Give me 3 catches. Give me something.
I'll let BK go.
I'm out. This is it because he's got to hit the bench. There's got to be other people in for him. He's playing too much.
I don't know that he's even earned this week.
Oh, so you're not? Oh, your crossroads is over. You've crossed it.
I mean, how much more do we really need to see from the guy? He's been one of the least productive wide receivers in the NFL so far this season. I mean, if you're looking at a yards per route run, he's worse this year than Trenton Irwin and Calvin Austin III. Like he's done nothing, man. He doesn't earn targets when he's on the field. And when he does earn targets while he's on the field, he doesn't do much with them. I so badly wanted this to be the year that it worked for Sky Moore. Everything in my heart wanted this to be the year for him. But I can't explain why it's gone this poorly, but man, it's been bad. Like he looks like the worst wide receiver on the roster. Every other receiver
that's how he's playing
more thus far than Sky Moore has. I've seen flashes from Rashee Rice almost every week. Justin Watson makes one big play every single week. MVS, just when you think you're like totally done with him, he goes out there and makes a big play for you. He draws a pass interference deep.
He's at the very least consistent. And
Kadarius Toney, I know exactly what he is, man. He's McCole Hardman plus. He's a guy that's going to make plays behind the line of scrimmage. He's going to drive you nuts with his inconsistency, but when he gets the ball in his hands, he's going to have an opportunity to do stuff with him. Justyn Ross almost never gets on the field. Dude, when he gets on there, he earns targets. Last week, Serda had one, I mentioned this before the show today. Man, his quick glance route that he got last week, one of the better plays that we've seen from a Chiefs wide. Like, it's just, all of these dudes are showing me something, and Sky Moore has shown me nothing. I want it to work. I want to give it one more week. But man, if we see it against Denver, it proves nothing to me. I've seen it against some other teams that have been on the schedule, and he just cannot do it consistently. It's this year, it's last year, it's everything. I think I'm done. I think I need to see more of Rashee Rice. I think I need to see more of Justyn Ross, Justin Watson get more opportunities. I think I'm out, man.
But Serda, if he can't do it against this Broncos team, it is now a stamp go. Go.
I'm with BK. I laid into him on the Arrowhead Pride Rapid Reaction show after the game against the Vikings. I've seen enough, and I don't think I totally agree that it doesn't prove anything doing it against the Broncos. And even the one good game he had this season against the Jags team, like that long catch that he had was a broken play, like where Mahomes just found him and
the touchdown was good.
And he had blockers in front of him, and there was no Jags around him, and he just had a free 40-yard run, basically. Like it wasn't something that he created for himself, and that's the biggest problem. Is that it's only 5 games into this season, and I understand he didn't get a lot on the field much last year, and so we didn't even really get an opportunity to see what he could do in this offense, and that's why I think part of it was we were so optimistic about his role growing this season. But man, you're competing for rings. Like, you can't be trotting this guy out there 50 to 70% of the snaps every week, where him and MVS are the guys that are leading your team each and every week in routes run. And you're rotating all these different wide receivers because you want somebody to step up. But the guy that you're putting out there, as much as any other wide receiver on the team, is giving you absolutely nothing week after week after week. And, he could still maybe find an impact somewhere in some kind of role. But Rashee Rice has already shown that he's a better NFL player right now. Like, he has already shown way more potential than we have seen from Sky Moore in over a calendar year. Like, Justyn Ross, yeah, I still want to see more from that. But that one catch that BK mentioned, like, that one catch was like, oh, well, Sky can't do that. So I would like to see Justyn Ross get the opportunity to go make plays like that while they work on the rest of his development, because they've been developing Sky for over a year now and gotten absolutely nothing out of him. He's not contributing in any way. I think MVS should get less snaps as well, but MVS is the veteran presence, and he does other things that are going to get him on the field. Sky is not making an impact in any way, and you got to see what some of these other guys can do for you, because I'm over having any expectation for him on a given week. I don't think he's got it. He looks like just a horrible bust of a draft pick right now.
I mean, you've quit. This is sickening. I mean, you have just really
in what's an incredible draft class. He looks like the worst pick of the class.
I mean, you have just let it go. I mean, God, good Lord. Okay, you've cut this promo before. By the way, there's no reason for you to continue week after week to take MVS down by the knees when you're talking about other people. Somehow you drag him. Somehow
him and Sky really close to bottom of the barrel wide receivers in the NFL.
Pick a week where you just let him off and just continue to talk about Sky or whoever it is, because you just find a way to get to MVS. I don't know why you just want to take that young man out, and he is giving you everything.
By the way, this is MVS week. Like, MVS is going to have like 3 catches for 120 yards.
I'm just giving Sky one. This is it, because what I'm saying is, no, you're talking about contributor. No, go. Like, he's got to. It's over. If he can't,
I would go the opposite though, Ron. I would go the opposite. I would say this is the week where you give Rashee Rice that opportunity. I would say this is the week where, hey, Rashee, we know you've got some drop issues. Early on in the game, we expect you're probably going to drop one of your first 2 targets. That's all right. We'll keep coming at you this time. You're going to flip spots with Sky Moore. Sky's been getting 60% of the opportunities at wide receiver over the last few weeks. That's kind of been his role. You've been getting like 25 to 30%. This week, it's going to be Rashee Rice getting 60%. And Sky, you're going to get about 25% of them. Make the most of those. See what you can do with it.
Yeah,
I bet you, I would be surprised, honestly, if this wasn't the case. I bet you Rashee Rice has a better game this week in that scenario than we've seen at any point from Sky Moore thus far. Because Rashee has done more with his snaps on a per snap basis, and it is not close than anything that we've seen from Sky.
No, I'm saying none of these jokers really have just said, hey, I should be on the field the majority of the time. Let's split all.
I think Rashee has. That's where I'll disagree. I actually think Rashee Rice has been good. Like, just flat out, like no disclaimers needed. He has been a good wide receiver as a rookie.
And I think this is like, for the reason that you're saying, like, give Sky a chance and see if he can do anything against this Broncos team. Like, I think this is the stretch where you need to get Rashee Rice and Justyn Ross involved if you're going to, because you have the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Broncos. Like, this is the stretch where you can get those guys deployed and see what they got and get them ready for tougher competition down the line. Because
like Miami, it's 3 weeks from now, you play Miami, dude, and you got to score 40 in that one, bro.
And we expect that Chargers game to probably be a tight game because Chiefs and Chargers always is. But the Chargers secondary is not good. Like, Derwin James is banged up. Their cornerbacks are not good. Like, their defense hasn't been particularly impressive this season, and they've been totally beatable. So, like, another good opportunity next week against the Chargers, then you get the Broncos again. Like, this is the stretch where you should give those guys opportunities and see what they can do against inferior competition.
Yeah, as I said, I don't think he should get the majority. I think let's split them up. Like, for me, like, you get Rashee Rice has come on a bit, but Rashee Rice has had bad moments too, right? Like, Justyn Ross has come on a bit. He's had bad moments too. Now, I'm not saying they've been as bad as Sky. I'm just saying, for me, Sky, this is it. Like, I'm gonna give you, like, we're gonna have 50% of the snap, whatever. We're gonna roll in here and everybody get around the same amount. And Sky, if you don't show something, if you don't show like you can get away and get yourself open on coverage against the Broncos' second or third corner, like that, I mean, we're out, and we're gonna move on in another space. That's my thing with him. When the Chiefs have the ball, the other thing, I'll be damned. They better be able to run the football in a dominant sense. Okay, I think the Chiefs' run game has improved, and it seems like it's really good. They were able to run the ball against a Jets team that is a pretty good defense and a really good run defense. The Denver Broncos have given up 755 yards rushing in the last 3 games. The last 3. 755. 755. I'm sorry. Like, Isiah Pacheco, Clyde, some of that one kid on the practice squad that didn't make the team right out. Who was it that McKinnon? He should get some run. They got a fullback. He should get 35 in this game. Pat should get 50. I mean.
The Broncos are giving up over 30 more rushing yards on the ground per game than the next closest team.
The guys up front, everybody ought to be able to run. They should run. This should be a game where Mahomes throws it 30 times because Andy just is hell bent on it. And it shouldn't be the case. Any of these guys, some of these older guys that played, bring them on. Let them get some carries. Like these guys who played in years past. Like, I don't care. They should dominate in the run. 755 yards. The Jets can't throw. Zach doesn't scare you. I know he had a miracle moment against the Chiefs for a little bit, but he doesn't scare you. The Jets or the Broncos didn't come in and say, "Well, boy, we got to really line ourselves up for this passing game of the Jets." No. They knew what they wanted to do, and they gave up 200-plus yards rushing to the Jets. Get out of here, man. Stop. God, run the football down their throats. Pacheco should have a big, big game this week.
It is embarrassing how bad they are defensively against the run. Like, we've seen some bad Chiefs run defenses over the years, especially like 3-4 years ago. The Chiefs were just horrible at defending the run. Those defenses were significantly better than what we're seeing right now from the Denver Broncos.
Well, they don't give a rip. It's clear to me. I mean, at some point in games.
They had a good, quote unquote, game against the Commanders, allowing 5.5 yards per carry against them. And then the Dolphins saw that and they were like, okay, I think we can take advantage of this defense. And they did in every way possible by putting up 725 yards in the game and 70 points. But then the Bears saw that and were like, okay, well, like, we've got a pretty good running quarterback and a really great running back. Let's just go ahead and continue doing that. And then the Jets did it with 200 yards. Like, every team that has followed that formula has had success against the Denver Broncos. This defense is embarrassing. If you don't run for $150, something has gone horribly awry. So, yeah, this should be a massive Isiah Pacheco game. Ron, I said this to you before the show. I don't think they're going to throw the ball 15 times in this game. But if the Chiefs wanted to throw the ball 15 times in this game, they should be able to and should still be able to put up 35-plus points. That's how bad this defense is against the run.
Yeah, it's pathetic. That's what I expect in this game. They got to run the football, and they can come out and just, they're gonna at some point be fearful of Patrick Mahomes, and they got to run the damn football all over them. And they're good. They're much better. This is one of the best run teams the Chiefs have put together since Mahomes has been there.
And for as bad as their run defense is, they also give up the 4th most passing yards per game. Like, they're just a really, really bad defense. But this is a game where I'd be perfectly fine with Isiah Pacheco carrying the ball 25 times and just having a monster game. Like, just unleash him. We got a glimpse of it a couple of weeks ago when he had 20 carries. Let's do that again. I'm fine with that. Use it to set up play action, get some deep shots for Mahomes, and just let Isiah Pacheco just run all over them.
Ron, this defense is last in pass yards per attempt, run yards per attempt, yards per drive, points per drive. They are the last in every statistical defensive category. They're terrible all the way around. Whatever you want to do against them, you should be able to do it against them. In this one.
Yep, and Vance Joseph has continued to keep his job throughout all of it, which is interesting. This could be like the Chiefs should have a performance Thursday against this team that is potentially going to get somebody lose their job. Like, this is it. Let it get somebody. They didn't even play with Kelce for real, and they just put up 40 on us or something. Like, the Chiefs should dominate this group. All right, when the Broncos have the ball, I'm not going to lie to you, I ain't got a lot. They're not interesting. They seem like I don't know if they like each other. I mean, the coaching staff and the players. Everything that Sean Payton went on and talked about how poorly coached they were, they do at just about the same rate.
They don't like Sean Payton, right?
As Nathaniel Hackett. No, they don't like Sean Payton, and he doesn't like them. And they don't like. To me, this is they may have a little juice coming into Arrowhead, playing against Patrick Mahomes, and being on Thursday Night Football with that snake Al Michaels calling their game. They may have a little bit of adrenaline going there, but man, they will throw in. They seem like they will throw in the towel quickly. Like they will throw, and they'll have moments. They'll have moments where they'll put together a couple of drives. I was watching them. They were up 21-3 against the Commanders. They put together some drives last week against the Jets. They got some talent. I mean, and to be honest, Russ is not like a lot of people talk about Russ. Russ has played a lot better this year than he did. I don't think him and Sean like each other, but he's played a lot better this year. That McLaughlin guy, he's all right. I mean, whatever. They've got some parts. They've got some receivers over there, but they'll throw it in, man. They'll throw it in. And I've watched it. They threw that thing on in against the Dolphins pretty quickly. They threw that thing on in last week against the Jets. They threw that sucker on in against Washington in the second half. They will go ahead and cut it loose and throw it in. And so just kill their spirit early. I think this is a real defense. They were able to do what they did to that Vikings offense to keep them under wraps with their passing game. I know Jefferson got hurt, but still, he wasn't doing nothing before it. They just kill their will early, and they will shut it down.
You mentioned Russ has been better this year. I mean, if you just look at his numbers so far this season compared to Mahomes, he's got a better completion percentage, more yards per attempt, more touchdowns, fewer interceptions, and a better quarterback rate. Like, Russell Wilson's been pretty decent. He's kind of been the Russ that we expected him to be after coming over from Seattle. The problem is this version of Russ needs help. He needs a defense to be able to go along with him. He needs a running game to be able to go along with him. He is a complementary piece, not the main piece of a winning organization. And unfortunately for the Broncos, they have literally nothing else going for them. Their leading wide receiver, Ron, week to week so far this season, has been Marvin Mims. They refuse to get him on the field. He's playing like 20% of the snaps. It's unbelievable. I don't understand. He leads the team in receiving yards. He has 10 receptions on the year. He's been targeted 12 times.
It's clearly their downfield threat. Yeah.
It's fewer than Adam Troutman. Like what they're doing is football malpractice. And I don't get any of it. I don't know what Sean Payton is trying to accomplish by doing some of this stuff. But yeah, this is a team that you can break their will pretty quickly. You can get them into the 1-2-3 Cancun situation, and you can do so by the end of the first half.
They're there. It's week 6.
Yeah. It's over.
They look like their second halves. They're like, to hell with it, guys.
They're already having talks in Denver about potentially blowing this thing up and trading Jerry Jeudy and trading Cortland Sutton and seeing what that looks like for them by the trade deadline.
And they should do that. And no, I'm not interested in Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton, Chiefs fans. They don't have any money, and I don't think those players are particularly good.
And it'll take a first-round pick probably from you to get Jerry Jeudy.
And I can't wait until the Saints cut Taysom Hill and Sean Payton brings him to Denver, because that's exactly what's going to happen. But no, they're bad. They're not a good football team in any way. I think that Sean Payton is a good offensive-minded head coach overall, but who largely got by on the fact that Drew Brees was just a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, but also like a very like cerebral quarterback, incredibly accurate quarterback who knew where the ball needed to go and was accurate with his timing and could get all of that stuff in. And Russell isn't that guy. Like we saw Russell with Seattle, Pete Carroll and his offensive coordinators had to kind of dumb things down and simplify things for us. And last year we saw Russ, like it just didn't work ever with Nathaniel Hackett. And Sean Payton talked a lot of trash, and then he got to Denver this year and he was like, oh no, it is Russ. Like it wasn't just the coaching. It is Russell Wilson as the quarterback. But they do get Javonte Williams back this week, but I don't know if that's really positive for them, because Jaleel McLaughlin has looked like he can play. And Javonte Williams has not been good this season so far. They just don't do anything offensively that should really challenge this Chiefs defense in any significant way, with the way that this unit has played this season, with how great that they have looked. I will say George Karlaftis popped up on the injury report this week with a hamstring injury. He's questionable. I would be a little kind of iffy on him playing with a hamstring injury on a quick turnaround on Thursday Night Football, but the Chiefs are going to have Nick Bolton back. He's off the injury report. Yep. He's good to go. So that defense should absolutely dominate them. I don't think they should worry about Russell and Sean Payton whatsoever.
I kind of disagree. It's not Russ to me. I think this is Sean. This is Sean and his staff. I'll be honest. I am shocked that the Broncos have looked like this. I had more respect for Sean Payton, that he was one of those coaches that was a program changer. Like, I'm not going to say he was going to come in and do what Andy did, but I put him in that same ilk in terms of, like, this is a Super Bowl winning coach who has been able to have good success with multiple guys, even after Brees. And it is the coaching in the team. They're not playing for him. It is a awful situation in there. That has blown me away. All right, Serda, go ahead and get my music, as I know you always do for me. Let's play the game that is sweeping the nation, Certified an Imposter, and this is quite simply this one. L'Jarius Sneed, is he a must-sign guy for the Chiefs? He's one of the guys. with the Trey Smiths, the Creed Humphreys, obviously the Chris Jones. There are guys that could come up that you could sign. L'Jarius Sneed, 25 years old, corner here. Is he a must-sign guy for the Chiefs?
I was going to say no this past offseason. That was my lean. But man, the more we've seen him play this year, the more I think the answer might be yes. Because I always used to think, okay, well, this is a guy that's really good at all the stuff that's not all that important at corner. Like, he's a really good blitzer. He's a really good tackler. He does all of the things that, like, if you just eliminated the coverage part of being a cornerback, he's the perfect cornerback. Unfortunately, covering is like the primary thing that you want from a good corner. And then this season, he's been like one of the best coverage corners in NFL. I mean, they've got him traveling along with Justin Jefferson. And it wasn't for the entirety of the game. There were some really good snaps in there.
It was the bulk of it.
From our guy, Trent McDuffie, as well. But yeah, man, L'Jarius Sneed was incredible in that one. And if he continues operating this way and he does the same thing, you know, later on this season against some of the dudes that they've got, you know, the Dolphins coming up. They've got the Bills. They've got the Bengals. They've got the Eagles, like some really good passing offense later on this season. If he continues doing against them what he just did against the Vikings, they're going to have no choice but to re-sign the guy because you have to keep that kind of a player internally.
I'll jump in here, sir. I'll go for you. I just don't know how he seems to be, and Nick Bolton goes back and forth with it for me. He seems to so clearly be the second most important guy on this defense. Like, that you can do so much with. Like, I know what we talked about with Trent, and Trent has had a really good start to the season. And I know he was slowed at the beginning. I mean, when you talk about everything you need, he's the best corner on the team. And they treat him as such. And it seems like Spags feels that comfortable about it that he wants to put him in areas. Hey, man, who do I need? Boy, I need a blitzer. I need a blitzer right now off the edge. Who's the best at it? That guy who I think is, how many sacks has he had? 5 sacks in the season before? He has been one of their, we've talked about it before. Like, yeah, but he's their third best pass rusher on the team. Hey, man, I need you to cover somebody with size, because that is something that we need. We want somebody with size. Adams, we need Devontae Adams. Go get him. Mike Williams, go get him. Justin Jefferson, and how physical he got with Justin Jefferson. He can do all of those things. Your best tackler in the secondary. There's just so many things that you could do, and I know they drafted well. But man, dog, that one's hard to me to look at a guy that's 25 that's able to do all of that, and that Spags puts him in that. I am led and lean towards, like, this is certified to me.
So I think it's certified too, because I think that Trent McDuffie is an elite player, and I think that L'Jarius Sneed, where I thought he was like on the fringe of that coming into the season, and now I'm like, okay, this dude's a straight up all around like number one cornerback. And I think that having those guys as lockdown players in your secondary is just incredible and really difficult to find. And, you know, you still got Trent McDuffie for a couple more years on his rookie contract. So I think that's kind of an avenue where you could explain to yourself how you can make it work. But then, like, you really start breaking down the roster and you're like, Mike Dana's gone after this year. I don't think he's probably going to come back, because he's probably going to get a lucrative contract in the offseason as a pass rusher. And Willie Gay is going to be a free agent. I don't know that he's coming back. Drew Tranquill is only on a 1-year contract. I don't know if he's going to be back next season. Nick Bolton's going to be looking for a new contract here pretty quick. Creed, Trey, like, there's just so many young guys on the roster right now that matter a lot to what the Chiefs are doing at the moment, that are going to be looking for new deals that you're going to have to make some really tough decisions about. It's just, if Snead keeps playing like this, like, I just don't understand how you can let him walk. But if he keeps playing like this, he could head into the offseason and maybe command a top 5 cornerback contract on the open market. I don't know if the Chiefs are going to be able to do that just with everything, especially if they really do want to bring Chris Jones back. I don't know if that's going to happen at this point, but if that's on the books too, I don't know how you can make that deal with Snead if you're actually trying to bring Jones back.
I mean, who takes over that role, like what he does?
I think their hope would be it's one of Justin Watson or Josh Williams. Because when you look at the way they're being utilized, and this is what I find maybe most intriguing about why they might end up keeping him, he is being treated as a true alpha outside corner now. And Trent McDuffie is part of what's made that possible because they didn't trust any of the other dudes to move on the interior. That's a really hard position to play in this Steve Spagnuolo defense. But McDuffie's playing that. He's lining up the majority of his snaps this year out of the slot. That used to be the L'Jarius Sneed role. He was lining up almost exclusively in the slot, and then he would move outside for some of those big-time matchups that we've seen with like a Mike Williams, Devontae Adams, etc. This year, it's all outside. He had a few snaps last week against Justin Jefferson in the slot, but the vast majority of his snaps this year, like 90% of them, are coming as an outside cornerback.
Yeah.
I didn't know they could do that with him. I didn't know that was part of his game at this point in his career. And so, like, I hear you. Yeah, you're going to lose, Willie Gay, and you're going to lose some of these other guys that you've really liked seeing in a Chiefs uniform. Maybe a Mike Deanna leaves, but like, man, that's a cost of doing business. And part of the thing that ends up being nice about having a Leo Chanel on a 3-year rookie deal that remains is you can let a guy like Willie Gay go. Part of what's nice about being a championship contender is a player like Drew Tranquil comes and plays for you for $3 million and is a really nice linebacker that adds depth to that piece of your defense. Part of it is Mike Edwards coming over and saying, hey, I'll take $2 million to be a part of your secondary. And now that you've got so much of this depth that has been developed on rookie contracts, yeah, it is one of those things where you have to decide, okay, are we good with this? Can we make this thing work? And L'Jarius Sneed is one of those players that you say, we'll make it work for him. He's one of those guys. Chris Jones is one of those guys. And the 2 interior offensive linemen that you mentioned, Serda with Creed and Trey, those are the guys. Those are the players that you end up paying.
See, for me, it's like for me on all levels. Chris, Nick Bolton, I am a big proponent of, and obviously L'Jarius Sneed, who we're talking about. It's hard to see them not having those 3.
Well, and let's say they work out deals like they bring Chris Jones back, they bring L'Jarius Sneed back, they work out an extension with Nick Bolton in the offseason or whatever. And like you still feel exactly how you feel right now about the defense, right? Like headed into next season, even if all those depth pieces move, you're still like, oh, they're still fine. Like they're still loaded, and they
if we're being honest,
I feel good about them being able to replace those depth pieces.
Yeah. And I think Justin Reed would be one of the cap casualties. Like Justin Reed's making $14 million against the cap next year. You can release him and it only counts for $3 million. There's your $11 million. There's probably what you'll need for L'Jarius Sneed against the cap next year. Boom. For 2024, it's good to go. The reality with most of these contracts, even if it says 5 years, it's really 2 to 3 in terms of how long you have to have them on your roster. That was the case for Justin Reed. It's going to be the case for L'Jarius Sneed. So you figure out 2025 and 26 when you get there. They'll be prepared for it. And I think they're going to be fine for 2024. It's really, hey, how do we make this stuff work for 2025 and beyond? And I think they're creative enough, smart enough to be able to do that.
All right, predictions. This game against the Broncos coming up. I'll go first. I think I'll say 35-21. And I'm feeling like I'm disrespecting the Chiefs defense.
You said 30-21?
That I'm thinking that they'd score 21 points. But yeah, I think they'll find their way and probably late in the game where they take some of these guys out. So I got 35-21. The Chiefs will win this game comfortably.
I've got 41-16.
Oh, boy.
I think this is a brutal game for everybody to watch. How far in do we get before Al Michaels seems totally disinterested? Like 7 minutes, 12 minutes?
The beginning.
Okay, yeah. That sounds about right. How much prep do you think Kirk Herbstreit's done on this game as opposed to the game that he's got this weekend for college? Like,
yeah, man, Washington, Oregon. I mean, you're talking about in Oregon. I'm sure he's got so Michael Penix Jr. He might call somebody Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. He may do that next game.
Yeah, I think this is a laugher. I think Prime is upset that they even put this on Thursday Night Football. They're happy they got Mahomes, but other than that, it's going to be a tough one.
I'm pretty similar. I've got 35-17, and I think the only way they get to 17 is garbage time when Chiefs have pulled starters and it's over, and they're just trying to like score some points late in the fourth quarter to feel a little bit better about their terrible performance. I just don't see any scenario where the Chiefs, even like we've seen them shoot themselves in the foot and play really down to competition. This team's so bad. It's exactly how I feel about that matchup against the Bears, except I think the Broncos are worse.
Yeah, I think Prime is probably getting in touch with Taylor Swift to see if they can get her to get on, make a trip to Kansas City so they can show her, or hell, just a video feed of wherever she is, just so she can be a part of the broadcast. That's probably what they're hoping for. Because I don't think this is going to be an entertaining game. All right, this is that little stretch here. The Broncos. God, we see them in 2 weeks. Good God Almighty. The Broncos.
Should we just replay this podcast that week and not even record a second?
I don't know. Who knows who's going to be on their team by then? Like that. Like how different will the Broncos be by the time we get back? All right. Good show, guys. We are out. Oh, I love that bark at the end.